So I'm here with Calvin Patterson, and we're talking about how sellers and marketers will often take for granted some of the things that work in their day to day that will very much work when applied to a candidate's job search. You were kind of naming some of the tools and some of the approaches. Like, would love to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's so easy to get caught up in the job search. Obviously, we're in a crazy environment, so you can get really overwhelmed with how many candidates are applying to things. And it's just like starting with the simplicity of don't apply to jobs. You can apply to jobs and it may get you interviews, but you're also not going to stand out from everybody else who in that 700 to 1,000 people just applied for it. So cool, you got an interview, but the hiring manager or the interview person doesn't know anything about you. Yeah. So approaching it in the way that a lot of sales and marketing people would approach their actual job is, let me actually prospect into this company, as we were speaking about prior, is let me find, if I want to be an AE SDR, let me find those SDRs at these companies, these AEs. Let me get context. And like we said too, it's like how HubSpot was successful selling bottom up, and sales acceleration formula lays that out. And okay, can you get more information from these SDRs and AEs to just learn about the company? Is it the right fit for you? What is the OT? Are people actually happy? Are they making that much money? Is the leader a good person to work under? Because a lot of people, if you approach them privately, are going to be willing to share those things. Yeah. And I know, so one of my friends, she just got a job over at Slack, and this is all she did, was literally just reach out to people. And it wasn't, she didn't know these people. Hey, I'm thinking about moving to this area. What are you thinking? So shout out to Sarah Drake for landing her job over at Slack. Nice, nice plug for her. Awesome. And I think everybody needs to think about it that way. And there's tools. The biggest thing, HubSpot. Anybody can use a free CRM. I'm kind of disappointed in myself for not using this years earlier, just to manage my personal information. Is you can sign up for free. You can, it gives you the email notifications when people are opening. You can, send out emails, and now you have track of, their email, their phone number. You can put their LinkedIn. So now you have all this information in one spot to stay organized. You can use a tool like Calendly or Mixmax to make scheduling easier. You can use tools like Clearbit, Hunter, Apollo, all to get phone numbers and email. Well, actually, I think emails mainly, but sometimes some of those tools have phone numbers too, which is great as well. I think Apollo might be the only one out of those that has phone numbers. But then there's also, using a tool like Crystal Knows to know the right way to approach somebody based on their personality profile. And then there's you have Loom, Vidyard, Drift Video, and Dub. Dub is my favorite free video tools. So I was just introduced to this recently, but I really love the customization aspects that you can do on the free tool. And you can add a CTA for free. So I just had somebody, I sent a couple, I think I sent 5 videos back and forth with her. We had a couple messages. She sent one video, and within 3 hours, I got a message from her saying, hey, the person answered, told me, I don't think your solution's the right fit, but you earned a meeting based on your video. Wow. So that's the power of something. Shout out to Morgan Ingram for pushing me to continuously use video. Yeah. And the other one is audio too, is sending voice messages is a huge underrated thing on LinkedIn as well. If you send videos and audio messages, you will stand out from so many people. And then the other thing is the personalization. It's all about, can you tell your story? It's not, I crush quota, I did all these things, I have 5 years of experience. It's great, I'm happy for you. You're a good salesperson, but how does that relate to me? What did you learn in those roles, and what specifically out of those things is actually going to make you successful in this role? Not, hey, I'm a great salesperson, I crush quota, but why are you going to be able to do that here as well? Where it's okay, I've sold in 3 different industries, so although I don't have industry experience selling into AI, guess what? Selling AI tech, guess what? I've been able to adjust to all these 3 different industries and been successful every single time. So this is why it's going to carry over. And knowing those characteristics that you like that are ideal for that candidate.
Yep.
And I think it's asking questions that are unique too. Is don't ask the BS like what's
Yep.
the PTO or what's the pay. Don't waste time with a person who has only a limited amount of time that you can ask them about how are they going to coach you? How are they going to mentor you? How are they going to help you to perform? Give me an example when somebody wasn't performing and then how you help them level up to become a top performer. I've created my interview doc, which just has a lot of this stuff I just covered.
Mm-hmm.
And, just tons of resources that every time I hear something, I try to throw it into this doc because I think that it's all about putting everything in one spot because there's a lot of information all over.
Yep.
But I have not seen that there's a spot to be able to consume a lot of these different things.
And these are things that you need to be doing constantly, right? Whether you're looking for a job, whether you're in a role, like having your digital brand and being active online and understanding where your prospects are is important.
Yeah, and like going off of the brand thing is, don't just try and build a brand to build a brand. I think that's where a lot of people mess up, and in some ways I've struggled with that too, and a lot of people struggle with imposter syndrome. But it's about telling your story. That's what's key is the authenticity, and that's what people relate to and want to engage with and reach out to you for. And that's how when I posted about being laid off, I think views are only just like a vanity metric, but I had over like 20,000 people that viewed my job post about being like my post about being laid off. And then all it takes is a couple of those people to reach out to me, which I did. I had a good amount of people reach out to me saying, hey, are you interested in interviewing? And let me make an intro. And, I'm grateful for all those people, but it never would have happened if I didn't be authentic and put myself out there.
And had been
a lot of people, I think,
you were pretty active. You were pretty active before too, so you had a lot of clout built up.
Yeah, I think that's definitely key. Where you can't just go all of a sudden, okay, if I'm authentic and post about being laid off, that a million people are going to see it. That is key. But just being yourself and putting yourself out there too is like we talked about too. Is it's not just reaching out to somebody saying, I need a job.
Right.
I'd love to learn more about you because of this experience. And it's just like the simplicities of networking, which I struggle with too, even. And, the personal message is what's key about their profile that makes me want to connect with them. Mm-hmm. Like, just tell them that is, this is what stood out. I'd love to learn from you. Do you have a couple minutes to chat? And, then it turns into the conversation. Like I mentioned is I had multiple conversations that it turned into interviews that, when I reached out to them, I wasn't even thinking to interview at their company. I just heard from somebody else that they were a good person to speak to. And that was, I think, the authenticity there where I wasn't asking them for a job that stood out. Mm-hmm. And it was like I reached out to somebody with a video, and the fact that I got a shout out because I, did something unique. Mm-hmm. And that's where using these tools is they're free. The only one I named out in this list that you actually have to pay for is Crystal Knows, and it's $30 a month, which is not ideal if you're laid off. Right. But hey, you can get insights onto the person you're trying to speak with. That $30 I would say can be worth it as well.
We will reach out to them and get everyone a free month or something.
Yeah, there some partnership. I don't know.
Yeah. There was one thing I wanted to make sure I got on your radar, and it's related to what you said earlier about going in, kind of not necessarily looking at it as an interview. I think a lot of salespeople have a tendency to try to take control of this conversation, and probably early on in those first 2 to 3 minutes, there are these adages that whoever's asking the questions is the one in control, things like that. So sometimes you do get into this back and forth with the interviewer, especially if it's a recruiter who's just trying to go through their line of questioning. We are doing a session with Jake Dunlap. Have you interacted with Jake before?
A little bit, but I've consumed a lot of his content, and I think he produces some great content out there. So shout out to him and Scale and everything they're doing.
Yeah, so we have so far there's 2 candidates, and we've been waiting for our third to join us on the 24th of June. And we're going to do one of the huddle sessions where Jake will basically break down some of what he's done in the past in his job searches and how he went in with like a ready pitch And I think your perspective would be really interesting because you can actually challenge him a bit as well, and it can be like a very productive dialogue. The other candidate that's joining us is going for an account manager role, and there's another candidate that's going for an SDR role. So you guys are all kind of like coming at it from a different angle. If you're interested in spending a few minutes on video, I could invite you to that, and other things as well. Look out for them, man.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely interested in. Yeah, I think the one thing I did see like recently that Jake posted about in terms of the interviewing process,
Yeah.
when he was getting the job at the Coyotes, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I've told multiple people about that post, and it's
Yep.
just shows his true passion and that doing something like he did, where he took the extra step to lay out the objections he's going to handle. Showing that
Exactly.
you understand the business before you're even in the door is just like boom. I think any company is going to be like, oh my God, we need to hire this guy, and you really stand out, and it can separate you from somebody who might have a little bit more experience than you as well.
Absolutely. That's awesome, man. You hit it right on the head.
I think that there's a lot of free communities out there that people are just not active in. Like Corporate Bro has one.
Mm-hmm.
You have the SDR Ready, and there's all these groups, but people aren't actively posting, I think, and that's what I've seen is a little bit different in this, and people are actually engaging. And like the happy hour on Fridays with Morgan and James, and then Thursday night sales, and then Bravado's hosting one, and like going to those three, well, at least the two every week, and then Bravado's bi-weekly. Well, like going to those, I met so many like crazy people and had amazing conversations, because anybody who's going to those is trying to better themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And anybody who's trying to better themselves, one is either a good person for you to mentor, or two, somebody who can mentor you and teach you something.
Yeah, no, I love that. And like you said, there are a lot of communities like, coming, but I think the ones that are like authentic are the ones that win out. I will say that for Hire Me and our community, what we don't necessarily want to become is just another platform where people are sharing like, best practices or intros or connections, or like we don't want to just become like another general community where you share everything. Like we're very hyper focused on activities that will help sellers and marketers stand out. So it's very like action based. Like we do the video sessions, we get some video sessions posted on the Slack. If companies are hiring, we're able to, get that information out to members. Like, it's a much more one by one kind of intimate sort of approach. We, would love to get to hundreds and thousands of members, but for us, it's not really about being a Bravado or a Rev Genius or a sales hacker. Like we're really looking to like attack this one niche, and that's been going really well because we're getting a lot of like valuable connections out of it. People are getting jobs, people are getting interviews, people are making connections, students are getting opportunities, so it's been really good.
That's what I think is like the key, is the uniqueness. What's something that separates you from everybody else? And I think that you just nailed it too. And like what's unique about you guys and what your niche is, and that's what's going to separate you and create a community that is more beneficial than something that all these groups are just like, hey, here's 500 Slack channels. We're
crazy.
just throwing stuff in there. Okay, no, well, you want to learn about what you should be doing to interview? Go join this community. There's leaders in there that are helping other people, spending time with people, helping coach them.
For us, it is about getting jobs, but at the same time, personal branding is a big part of it. So like, having long form video content, having 5 short clips, having some audio content that we give you as a pack that you can take and share across your social channels is also very valuable. So we try to like provide some like concrete value.
Yeah, and I mean it's crazy. Like I had inbound a couple times and never thought it would be possible. At Mixpanel selling to product people. I literally had a couple people come inbound based on my title.
That's a great point.
So it's not like that. That's what's crazy too. It's like that's basic to me, but it's only basic because I've consumed so much of Morgan's, Jake's, Justin Welch's content to understand, dude, fucking change your title if you're selling, because you want people to see, and it comes across and it's like, oh, well, you help companies understand their user experience and create like, oh shit, wait, that's what I do. How can you help me?
Yeah, let's do it, man. We're gonna do it.
So how could I make an intro? for
Just
you?
over email. So after this, like I'll invite you to Slack. I'll send you email invite for calendar sessions. We're doing a mental health in your job search session with Bilal Basawi.
Yeah,
It was like, yeah, great to meet you.
I created the Slack channel in Rev Genius Mental Health.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Then you're in that session. No, there's no question about it. You'll be there with Bilal. We're gonna set it up with him. He's excited for it too.
I mean, like I said, let me know however I can help. I think this is like really important. I'm far from, and I think that's the other thing too, is like I'm remembering like I'm very far from perfect.
Yeah.
And it's just like getting other people to realize that too, is like I fucked up, I've done the wrong things.
Yeah.
And telling that to help other people to be like, I still struggle with this, and if I struggle with it in other people, you can too, and you can still do it well.
Yeah. Just be an example, my man. You're like Kevin Garnett. You're like our, Robert Ory, like 6-time champion, however many rings he has.
Yeah. Fun fact: I interviewed with 60 companies right out of school.
Yeah, it's like a sales funnel.
I mean, I had a great resume. I could literally apply anywhere, and I would get in the door. I could apply anywhere. I could get a first interview anywhere because I had 2 internships that I like crushed it. But they always felt like they thought those internships were real experience. So it like made it seem like I was like, okay, yeah, you're coming in with like a whole year of closing experience. You know what the fuck you're doing. Yes, we want to hire you. And then they'd hear more stuff, and they're like, oh, you really don't know what you're doing. Yeah, and then there's an opposite side where I would get to like pretty far in the process, but I was so hungry, like because I had interviewed with the massive companies that let you go into full sales cycle right away.
Yeah.
And then I would just ask questions because I cared about the next role. I don't care about the SDR role. Like I know I'm gonna crush that, which I proved I could crush it. But like they didn't care about that. They want somebody who's gonna be in that role, be successful in that role, and slowly move to an AE role. But I was so hungry. I was like, all right, so yes, great, understand the SDR role. So what about the AE role?
But maybe that wasn't necessarily the right place for you anyway.
Yeah, I mean, going to the company I went to, even though I didn't have structure, I think actually forced me to grow my network, forced me to learn from, and I always go back to Morgan because he was my first real connection that opened my eyes to LinkedIn's capabilities. And he's a perfect example. In 2 years of us being connected, he went from like 10,000 followers to now he has over 100,000.
Yeah.
And he can show, obviously he's done a lot of the right things, but it's just like crazy to see how that can happen in just 2 years, and how me just connecting with him and how that affected my LinkedIn feed, which then showed me the opportunity to start putting myself out there. And I've never posted consistently, and I can't imagine if I did, but it's also really hard. It's draining to do that. It can be so draining to build a personal brand.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I've tried to find the balance of. Don't overkill where you need to force yourself to post like every day and really go crazy on it.
If you're someone that's going to post 3 to 5 times a week, great. If you're going to post 1 time a week, great. If you're going to post 1 time a day, great. Like do what's best for you, and don't necessarily like just look at what everyone else is doing and kind of have that feeling of like, man, I need to be doing, I need to be at 100 and I didn't even get to 1 yet. Just like pick a cadence and start with 1. It's definitely tough, but more and more people are doing it. And I just saw something come up on LinkedIn the other day of like somebody posted that they heard of the first person getting fired for spending more time on LinkedIn than they are actually selling.
I mean, that I think is a real problem. And actually, like my dad's told me about that too, is like make sure, even if you're like commenting and stuff, like also remember too, a company could get pissed about that. Because like the thing is too, is if I'm actually doing it and building a brand that's turning into sales, or it's building into relationships, if you can tell the right story of this is why I'm doing it, this is how it's helping me to either learn or be more successful in my role, and it's leading to sales, that's what's true. Like really key is like don't just build a personal brand to build a brand. It's why are you doing it? How are you going to impact people? And I just posted about this too, is like I tried to grow my network too quick, and I'm just about to hit the 10K mark, but I did it a shitty way in a little bit too. Like I didn't use a tool to hack it, which some people did, but I literally just like kept adding more and more people, and in a negative way, I didn't build enough strong relationships, and I'm trying to work on that.
Yeah.
But I've also built relationships with great people like Morgan and like Dale Dupree and like other people where still, if I hadn't grown in that scale, I don't know if I would have been put into the right circles to meet those people.
we see it playing out live. Like you said, I mean, none of us are far from perfect. You're going to have some amazing moments. You're going to make mistakes, but you're in the arena, and you're the one who's kind of taking the hits. So we could only respect you for that.
Yeah. So what's Buck AI? Like, when are you guys got any customers yet or anything?
We got like blasted by COVID. Things are starting to open up now, I guess, but we'll see how it goes. Buck is it's a robotic process automation tool. It basically like helps small businesses like automate for now a lot of their back end processes like scheduling, invoicing, order processing, things like that for like professional services type businesses like plumbing and heating and cooling. So it was a cool opportunity, really cool team. We went through the Berkeley Skydeck program, and I'm still like kind of on the team, and we're all kind of riding it out. Hire Me honestly has like taken on a life of its own. It's like something I'm very passionate about. Like I really want to build this thing and see it through. We've been getting some really amazing responses. We're going on the 90-day mark, and we're kind of now taking a look at everything. And like I'm going to be doing a lot of work on the website this weekend to like change up some things. We have a lot of video content that we're going to start featuring.
I'm just checking out more of this stuff like right now as we're speaking, and dude, I'm blown away. I just like looked at high level, I think, and
Cool.
I shout out to you guys for featuring me on that email too. I was like, I saw that, and I was like, what?
Really?
How'd
Thanks,
this
man.
happen? Like,
That's awesome. Man.
thanks for that. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I'd love to have featured is the interviewing doc that I created somehow, because every time I've shared it with people, they're just like, dude, what? Like, this is crazy. Like, it's so
that.
Disorganized.
Yeah.
I agree. I know it's disorganized.
In one place, which I love.
Yeah, but then that was like this whole purpose is just throwing it together. I need to expand too, I think, and like a lot of what I just said on video, I think I need to throw into it as well, because a lot of people aren't going to see these type of videos. Plenty of people may, but there's a lot of people that may only see the like writing. So need to be able to put that there so that people can read it too.
No, I love that. I mean, yeah, we'll feature the heck out of it, man. We'll definitely get it up. I've seen it before. I think it's a great resource. So
that was actually so because I posted it like about being laid off, and that was how the person I have the like pending offer from, he literally mentioned it in like the CEO reached out to me, and that's crazy too. Is like that's how both Morgan and James got their current roles, is by building their brand, and that's how if I land this role, it would be because of that. Like I had the brand that he reached out to me, and he name dropped somebody that I had built a relationship off of LinkedIn that I actually was going to sell at Mixpanel. But again, it was like he was a salesperson, pivoted to the product team, and I mean, that's what's crazy too, is that it was literally a sales relationship that turned into me, like our company selling him at Chili Piper, Mixpanel, and then now he likes my comment of being laid off, and then it turns into somebody reaching out about a job.
No, I mean, you have to be in the room, like you have to be at the event, like in order to be able to like network and people to kind of think of you and kind of take you like in behind their digital arm and connect you to someone else. Like you have to be in the room, and in a lot of ways that's LinkedIn. Jake talks about that a lot. I mean, I won't even take credit for that. I got that from Jake. In terms of LinkedIn just being a giant 24/7 networking event, and you're like silly if you're not there, I love that when it actually results in something.
Yeah, I'll look forward to you seeing your email, and I'll intro you to Nikki, who I think is like a great recruiter that could really help out. And she's part of Rev Genius too. But yeah, it was great speaking. Let me know whatever. Like I said, happy to help in any way possible, and look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Calvin. I appreciate it, man. Have a great day.
You too. Happy Friday.
You too, man.